This is Shara Kanzler, editor of Fast Casual, and you are listening to Navigating COVID-19.
Welcome back, everyone, to Navigating COVID-19, a podcast on how fast casuals are responding to the coronavirus pandemic. We've got a variety of stories today. First, we're looking at a big fast casual virtual event. We're also looking at Pret Manager reopening, Georgia being the first state to reopen, Schlotzsky's being a bit more hesitant to reopen, as well as slight improvements in restaurant sales, and some news from Shake Shack. But before we get into all of that, enjoy a quick message from our sponsor. Now more than ever, restaurants demand secure, reliable, and cost-effective IT networks to keep business flowing. While you focus on the health of your patrons and staff during this crisis, NetSurian is here to support you with a managed network service purpose-built for restaurants. Learn more at netSurian.com/restaurants. Welcome back, everyone, to Navigating COVID-19, a podcast on how fast casuals are responding to the coronavirus pandemic. We've got a variety of stories today. First, we're looking at a big fast casual virtual event. We're also looking at Pret Manager reopening, Georgia being the first state to reopen, Schlotzsky's being a bit more hesitant to reopen, as well as slight improvements in restaurant sales, and some news from Shake Shack. First, let's look at Fast Casual's Top 100 event. Although not being able to meet up with friends for Night of Celebrating may seem low on the list of terrible things about the pandemic, a night out is often a cure for stress, anxiety, and boredom. And those are three feelings that most of us are experiencing daily as we try to stay healthy while working, paying bills, homeschooling children, and collecting the essential supplies needed to care for our families. Breaking up the monotony of the shelter-in-place routine is a necessity, which is why we are seeing drive-by birthday celebrations, virtual happy hours, and ridiculous TikToks. Fast Casual is also hoping to add a burst of excitement with our annual 2020, the Fast Casual Top 100 Movers and Shakers Gala. We thought about canceling the 7-year event that recognizes the year's most innovative brands, but didn't think the pandemic should keep us from celebrating the fast casual industry's accomplishments. In fact, we think that now more than ever is a time for us to come together in solidarity and support. The show will go on virtually at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, May 15th. Usually we host the gala at the Sofitel Hotel Ballroom in Chicago on the Monday of the National Restaurant Association show, which means we only have enough room for about 200 guests, a couple of execs from each winning brand. Since this year's event is virtual, however, we're inviting the entire restaurant industry, not only the brands on the list, to witness the big reveal via Zoom. We know this will be the virtual event of the year, and here's why. We have already had nearly 400 people registered for the gala. Everyone is invited to dress up. There's a best dressed selfie contest via Twitter. Who will win? Toasts will be made, so be sure to watch from home with your favorite beverage. We are hosting virtual games, so you can play along. Registered attendees will receive directions soon, but they include industry buzzwords and winner predictions. Jeff Alexander, president of WowBow, last year's winner, will introduce this year's winner. You'll get to see and hear from the number one brand of 2020. One brand will receive the second annual Food Safety Award. We will reveal a new women's leadership initiative. You could host a virtual watch party with your close friends and family, as long as they're in your quarantine circle. It's been way too long since you've not had to drink alone on a Friday. So dig out that fabulous suit, tux, dress, and heels from the back of your closet, and let's celebrate in style. Although we can't be together physically, we can certainly be together in spirit. See you virtually soon. Next, let's look at the story about Pret Manager. While many restaurants throughout the United States have opted to stay open for delivery and carry out during COVID-19, Pret Manager decided on March 17th to close all 86 locations. The chain, however, reopened 4 New York City locations this week, with limited hours to allow for takeout and delivery. We reached the difficult decision to furlough 98% of our U.S. employees and are working with our teams to ensure they receive the full benefits possible under the CARES Act legislation. Sarah Lee, president of Pret US, told Fast Casual via email. We will cover 100% of employee medical benefits through the end of May for those on our medical plan. Our goal is to bring as many people back to work as possible as we continue to open more locations. Team members staffing the 4 reopened units volunteered to come back to work, and Pret is paying them 1.5 times their rates through May. The chain expects to continually open more stores on a bi-weekly basis as early as May, according to Lee, who also said she chose to start with 4 specific stores for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, the size of their kitchens and overall space for consumers to ensure we can maintain our standards, while also ensuring all social distancing guidelines are met, Lee said. 3 of the locations are located within close proximity to hospitals, as we know there is a need for frontline workers to have access to delicious, wholesome food. Additionally, the various locations they're opening will be able to serve the majority of Manhattan for delivery. To ensure safety, Pret has implemented the following guidelines. No more than 6 customers inside the restaurant at any time, and tape will be applied outside to maintain a 6-foot distance while customers wait to enter. Shields will be placed on the till counter to avoid contamination. Hand sanitizer available for customer use. Customers have the option to pack their own bags. All cutlery, stirrers, napkins will be stored behind the counter and passed to customers on request. Only contactless payments will be accepted, Pret app, Apple Pay, or credit card. Only customers wearing face masks will be allowed to enter. Pret next week is launching Pret Groceries, an on-demand delivery pickup service through Seamless to allow New Yorkers to buy essentials without having to secure a set delivery window. Customers select their favorite Pret ingredients for delivery or takeout, including select whole produce, honey wheat, and gluten-free breads, granola, oats, courtside soups, organic coffee and tea, as well as various milk products and packs of cookies to arrive within the hour. While Pret physical locations have been temporarily closed, the Pret Foundation has been operating at full speed, with over 173,000 pounds of food donated to New Yorkers in need since March 17 through the brand's 20-year partnership with City Harvest and its partnership with Rescuing Leftover Cuisine, Lee said. Historically, Pret has donated over 5 million pounds of food to City Harvest, which visits their New York City locations every night to pick up their unsold food. Now more than ever, restaurants demand secure, reliable, and cost-effective IT networks to keep business flowing. While you focus on the health of your patrons and staff during this crisis, NetSurian is here to support you with a managed network service purpose-built for restaurants. Learn more at netSurian.com/restaurants. Now let's look at Georgia reopening. In all things, someone has to go first. In the pandemic in which we are now living, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has taken the lead in allowing restaurants to reopen their dining rooms. They must adhere to a set of 39 guidelines, however, including a rule requiring all employees to wear masks and restrictions on the number of customers allowed inside at the same time. Chronic Tacos, a Southern California-based brand with more than 60 locations in the United States, Canada, and Japan, is one chain taking the governor up on his offer. As retail is beginning to open across Georgia, we are playing a slow, phased approach to reopening, Jennifer Lewis told Fast Casual via email. We continue to closely monitor the conditions. The overall health and safety of our employees and customers is our top priority. Lewis said the chain has added several safety measures, including in-restaurant social distancing markers, plexiglass shields separating customers from employees, facial mask requirements, and special employee training. We continue to follow the guidelines in place by federal and state government authorities, our local health department, OSHA, and follow the recommendations set forth by the National Restaurant Association, she said. The Waffle House and Jason's Deli have also opened Georgia area locations, and Focus Brands' own Moe's Southwest Grill, which has nearly 100 locations in Georgia, has reopened dining rooms in less than 10% of locations. Lindsay Haynes, Moe's communication PR director, told Fast Casual via email. The franchisees who have chosen to open their dining rooms are in accordance with local and state mandates, she said. Additionally, franchise locations with closed dining rooms will continue to offer convenient and safe to-go options, including curbside, pickup, and third-party delivery. Atlanta-based Schlotzsky's, also owned by Focus, has opted to wait, however. In the best interest of our guests and team members, we decide collectively with all our franchisees to postpone the reopening of dining rooms, regardless of what is allowed in any given market, until we have all the proper equipment and protocols in place at each of our locations, and the staff is fully trained on any new procedures moving forward, COO Tori Bartlett said in an interview with Fast Casual. Many brands, including Wisconsin-based Cousin Brands, are studying how some of the first open chains are handling things. We knew one state was going to open first, Cousin Subs president Jason Westhoff told Fast Casual via email. Is Georgia the right state to permit dine-in? Who knows? Their reopening, however, will provide a case study that will allow other states to gain key insights on what the impact is on the spread of COVID-19 and how guests and employees react. One certainty, however, is that guests will choose to visit a dining room at their discretion. Locally, our small business leaders are ready to reopen their dining rooms, Westhoff said. Governors who are making broad-based decisions month by month instead of week by week show either a lack of understanding or an intentional disregard of the long-term impact those decisions are having, and we will continue to have economically. While we are flattening the health curve, we are doing it at the expense of the livelihoods of a far greater percentage of our population. Cousins, which has seen a 30% drop in sales at stores without drive-thrus, but only a 6% cut in locations that have them, doesn't have a specific date in mind for reopening dining rooms. Westhoff said the chain is monitoring federal, state, and local guidelines, while also working with state restaurant associations to get clarity on any operational changes it may need to make in order to reopen. Even when allowed, our franchise partners will have the option to continue to operate with closed dining rooms if they so choose, Westhoff said. Some indicate to do so to see the results of and best practices for opening dining rooms in corporate stores. The good news, Westhoff said, is that sales trends have improved every week since the chain's first date of impact on March 14th. He credits that to a few things, including menu items were already perceived as grab-and-go meals prior to the pandemic, implementing third-party delivery prior to the pandemic, offering online or and app ordering for a long time prior to the pandemic, the standardizing of point-of-sale systems to a single platform and centralized management system. This consolidation enabled the chain to add curbside and easy pickup within 1 week of March 14. Nearly 40% of Cousin Subs locations have drive-thru or pickup windows. Now let's take a look at Schlotzsky's. The Waffle House, Chronic Tacos, and Jason's Deli began welcoming diners Monday in Georgia, as the state eased stay-at-home restrictions for businesses following social distancing guidelines. Atlanta-based Schlotzsky's, owned by Focus Brands, hasn't opened its doors, however. In the best interest of our guests and team members, we decided collectively with our franchisees to postpone the reopening of dining rooms, regardless of what is allowed in a given market, until we have all the proper equipment and protocols in place at each of our locations, and the staff is fully trained on any new procedures moving forward. CEO Tori Bartlett said in an interview with Fast Casual. More than 90% of the chain's 350 locations are made open for curbside pickup, drive-thru, and third-party delivery, with only about 6% totally closing. A few of those were expected to close this year, and we anticipate some of the others will reopen, according to Bartlett, who said Schlotzsky's has not yet determined when stores will be open for dine customers. There are many factors need to be considered before we add dining room service to our options for guests. Regardless of the opening date, Schlotzsky's will continue to implement enhanced cleaning and sanitation protocols and comply with all local and state guidelines. We will also introduce additional measures such as hand sanitizers for guests and making new personal protective equipment such as masks available for team members, Bartlett said. The chain will also enforce guidelines to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as local and state authorities, including social distancing and spacing out seating, as well as its own heightened cleaning and sanitation procedures. Although sales are down compared to this time last year, Bartlett said the chain quickly dialed up its drive-thru performance, launched lunchboxes and family meals, added curbside, and relied more heavily on third-party delivery. Some locations are actually positive due to having a drive-thru, leaning into value and family offerings. And in some cases, the added benefit of nearby competitors closing, as well as increased presence on third-party delivery marketplace, has contributed to positive sales, he said. The company has also been diligent about communicating daily with franchisees, as well as concentrating heavily on speed of service, focusing on labor efficiency, reducing SKUs, and evolving menu offerings for both efficiency and to target the new needs of customers. Specifically, our marketing efforts have focused on curbside and drive-thru and promoting our family meal deals and community involvement, Bartlett said. Bartlett said before restaurants are able to once again thrive by serving dine-in customers, the public must feel safe in order to be comfortable going to work, going out to eat, and engaging in other activities that drive the economy. The government's role is key, as is up to it, to ensure people have appropriate information, testing, precautions, and care, Bartlett said. In addition, the government should work with a diverse set of stakeholders to continue to solve the many different situations in our industry, as well as with local and national restaurant associations, to keep one of our nation's economic pillars strong, to continue to employ and serve our communities, he said. Now let's look at a slight improvement in restaurant sales. U.S. restaurant chain transactions showed improvement for the second week in a row in the week ending April 26. with total industry customer transactions down 32% compared to a 36% decline the prior week, according to the NPD Group. QSR transactions were down 3% that week, various last year, while there was a slight 1% improvement in sales week over week at full-service restaurants, although they were still down 71%. NPD uses its CREST performance alerts for the data, which provides change in specific transactions and shares trends for 70 QSR, fast casual, mid-sale, and casual dining chains. Government relief payments and overall improvements in consumer spending most likely contributed to the easing of transaction declines, David Portland, NPD Food Industry Advisor, said in the release. Portland says it's reasonable to anticipate that the trend will continue for the date for this week that ended May 1st, when it becomes available, since some states are reopening restaurants for dine-in service, including Georgia's 20,000 restaurants on April 27th, and several other states May 1 through 3rd, including 60,000 Texas restaurants. Over the next 2 weeks, there are over 300,000 restaurants may potentially reopen for on-premise dining. These openings will improve industry volume, but won't return to full capacity, NPD said in the release. In Texas, for example, reopening comes with strict social distancing guidelines, and dining rooms may not exceed 25% of their standard occupancy. As states and localities reopen, many restaurants are ready to open on the first day, while others need more time to prepare. Still unknown is the number of restaurants that may never reopen, Portland said. Other considerations that many consumers may be cautious about returning to dining rooms, and a significant percentage of the population remain in quarantine even if restrictions are lifted. And last, let's look at Shake Shack. Shake Shack CEO Randy Garutti said that although COVID-19 has rocked the chain, total revenue increased 8% during quarter one, which ended March 25th. Same Shack sales, however, decreased 12.8% for the physical first quarter of 2020, versus an increase of 3.6% in the first quarter last year, primarily driven by reduced traffic caused by COVID-19. Our measures across the company has been consistent, to lead with hope while acting on reality, and to make the necessary choices today to ensure our strength and growth continue for many years to come. That strategy includes pausing growth to conserve cash, but Garutti said the company has a number of locations across various levels, construction, and will resume development as the operating and construction environments stabilize. In March, Shake Shack closed all dining rooms and temporarily shifted to a to-go only operating model and all of its domestically company-owned shacks. As mandated shutdowns and stay-at-home orders went into effect across the country, it experienced a drastic reduction in sales levels compared to the prior year, Garutti said. As of April 29, 17 domestic company-operated shacks were temporarily closed, and the majority of shacks were operating with reduced hours and in a limited capacity. Also, 61 of the 120 licensed shacks were temporarily closed, including all shacks within Japan and domestic stadium venues. U.S. airport locations have also either fully closed or significantly slowed as air travel has diminished to a near standstill. Despite the challenges, some positive signs have begun to emerge, Garutti said, including a steady increase in domestic sales driven by growth in its own digital channels and the expansion of integrated delivery partnerships. The company's licensed business is also starting to experience small signs of recovery, with dining rooms reopening in Korea, Hong Kong, and mainland China in limited capacity. However, there is no assurance as to the time required to fully recover operations and sales to pre-pandemic levels. By doubling down our digital strategies and with increasing engagement through both our own and third-party delivery channels, we've continued to see week-over-week improvement in sales in all regions since the lowest point at the end of March, Garutti said. The team will continue to make adjustments to its cost structure based on reduced operations, but has started the rehiring process for some furloughed team members. It's difficult to predict when and how quickly we will fully rebound once stay-at-home regulations are lifted, but our first priority will continue to be to keep our teams and our guests safe as we carefully reopen shacks, Garutti said. Given the actions we've taken to bolster our balance sheet, we are in a strong position to resume execution of our long-term strategic growth plan as we continue to come through the other side of COVID-19. As government moves through this transaction sales ramp up, it expects to incur some labor inefficiencies as it adjusts to new protocols and operating models, and will also incur additional costs necessary to keep teams and guests safe, such as face coverings, gloves, and additional secure packaging for all orders, directional signage, and cleaning supplies, which are all expected to be ongoing for a period of time, Garutti said. On a conference call with analysts, Shake Shack executives said they have seen a surge in beef prices in recent weeks linked to the shutdown of meat facilities amid COVID-19 exposure. The plants we use have not been impacted, although many plants you've seen across the country are working at reduced schedules, he told analysts on the call. Financial highlights of the first quarter of 2020 compared to the first quarter of 2019. Total revenue increased 8.8% to $143.2 million. Shake Shack sales increased 7.4% to $138 million. Same Shack sales decreased 12.8%, with approximately 2% decrease in fiscal February year-to-date, and approximately 29% decrease in fiscal March. License revenue increased 26.8% to $5.1 million. Shack system-wide sales increased 13.5% to $221.6 million. Shake level operating profit, a non-GAAP measure, decreased 2.4% to $26.4 million, or 19.1% of Shack sales. Net loss attributable to Shake Shack was $1 million, and adjusted pro forma net income was $0.8 million, or 2 cents per fully exchanged and diluted share. 12 system-wide Shack openings comprised of 4 domestic company-operated Shacks and 8 net licensed Shacks. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you stay safe and have a wonderful day.